Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here on this very warm Tuesday evening. I am so happy that you've decided to join me. I appreciate that so much. And we will get started here in a couple of minutes when we have given everybody a chance to get on. So let's go ahead and see who's here. And refresh my screen. So there, it popped up pretty easy today. Yay! I like it. All right, there we go. Didn't have to spend a long time looking for it. Okay, so my free shipping order arrived last Friday, and I finally got to looking at it. And this was part of my free shipping order. I've been eyeing these dies. Hi, Tracy. So I picked them up during free shipping because that's the best time to do it. Save a little bit of money, 11%, and get the things that you've been eyeing. So that's exactly what I did. I got some things that I'd been looking at along with my basic adhesives and that kind of stuff. So hello, Jennifer. And anyway, so tags to go. We're going to be using this tonight. The Extraordinary Flora washi tape is back in stock. It's been in and out, mostly out, but it is back in stock, or it was earlier today. Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Laura. So we're going to be using this as well as the tags to go today and the Extraordinary Flora dies. Okay, so anyway, just to let you all know, Stampin' Up! Announced today that there will be a sale starting August 5th and running through the end of August, the 31st. And that will be on the 25 to 2027 in color items. So make your lists, decide what you still need. And then not every single thing will be on sale. It has to be included on the 25 to 27 in color page, which I couldn't find myself in the Stampin' Up! Online store today, but I know it will be there when the sale begins. So that's how you're going to know exactly what's on sale. We didn't actually get a flyer that lists what those things are. So you want to keep an eye on that and just give that a thought. And while we're on the subject of August 5th, that will also be the next last chance category update. So Stampin' Up! Will add new things to the last chance category, and usually that means things that are already in the last chance are discounted a little bit more than they are, or if they weren't discounted, they will be. You just have to check those things. And Stampin' Up! Has also announced that Celebration, as we have noted in the past, is going away. And because of that, some of the items that they have inventory of from the 2025 celebration product offering will be placed into the last chance category on August 5th. And if you didn't get something that you wanted, you might be able to purchase it if it's there and you're fast enough. Okay? Because all that stuff will be while supplies last. Got any questions on that at all? Celebration going forward is not going to happen. Stampin' Up! Will announce more details. There will be a new program that will be starting in December. Okay? All right, well, let's go ahead and get started with our tags to go and our extraordinary Flora. Our first project is a box, and so we're going to make that. I know, shocker that I'm making a box, right? Okay. So we're going to start with a piece of Darling Duckling cardstock, and this is 3 1/8 by 11 inches. So 3 1/8 by 11. Get out our scoring tool. Let's get right on this. Let's put this in our scoring tool. Make sure you can see that. I'm never quite sure how far up I should be in the photo here. So let's there we go. You can see that. Okay, so on the 3 1/8 inch side, we're going to score this at 1 inch from each end. So we're going to score 1 inch, rotate 180, score 1 inch again. And then we're going to put it on the 11 inch side, and we're going to score this at 3 inches, 4 inches, 7 7/8 inches. That's the little tick mark on your scoring tool right before the 8, and then 8 7/8, and that is all of the scoring. This is going to be another one of those double fold flap boxes, resized again. So we're going to fold and burnish on all of those score lines. Okay, so we have that. Then I'm going to do a little bit of trimming. So I'm going to take 4 squares we're going to cut up on either side of the score line. So I'm going to cut on the large rectangle sides, straight up. Do that on all 4. I'll get that done. And then for this next part, I'm going to use my trimmer, but if you don't want to do that, you could certainly eyeball it. I'm going to bring in my trimmer. I'm going to fold over my long rectangles, leaving only my 2 squares. I'm going to go to the 3/8 inch line here. I'm just going to place that up at the top and cut those off. I don't need more than 3/8 of an inch for my glue tabs. And because of the way the box folds, I need to make sure that my tabs are not impeding my box folding. Okay, so that now is ready. Well, actually, no, it's not. We need to trim these out. So we're going to angle cut on all of these little 3/8 inch rectangles, just to take some of the bulk out so that those will fold in neat and tidy. And actually, it would have been smarter had I put my tear and tape on while it was straight. But I didn't do that. So here we are. I'm telling you that it would be wise of you to just put your tear and tape, if that's what you're using, on while these are still rectangles. Okay? So, just going to take and flip this to the outside. I'm going to bring in my tear and tape. And some tear and tape on these tabs here. Actually, once you get your tearing tape on, if you don't want the rest of that tab, you can actually cut it off. It won't matter. Okay, so we've got that. Let's go ahead and burnish that tape down well. When you do this, it helps you pick up the backing a little bit easier. And it also helps the tape hold better because it's been burnished into the paper. So we'll remove all those wax paper backings, which I should not be doing now. Oh my goodness. I should be putting on my decorations here. Okay, I'm just going to set that aside. That'll be okay. And then what we need is a piece of Darling Duckling in the two-tone, and a piece that is 6 inches by 4 inches is plenty. You don't really need that much. 6 inches by about, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 2 3/4 will do you. And then you're going to take that piece and cut it into a 1-inch strip and 2 7/8 inch strips. So you should have 2 pieces that are 6 by 7/8 of an inch, and 1 piece that is 1 inch by 6 inches. Okay. And we're using the darker side of the paper. So we've got this. This is what it looks like. I ran it through the Glass and Gardens embossing folder. These will go through the mini machine. They're not 3D. And all you need to do is take your strips. You have to run it through twice. So take a 1-inch strip and a 7/8 inch strip. Put that in and run it through your emboss machine. And then repeat that for the other 7/8 inch strip. Okay? And then we're going to take our pieces. I've pre-done this. I'm going to take a little nail sanding block and I'm going to lightly sand this. Because this two-tone paper is white core, if you give it just a little bit, I'm not really pressing, just setting that block on there and running it over, and then you get this look. Okay, so now we've got this 1-inch piece, and I've pre-done 2 7/8 inch pieces. Okay, and then I'm going to cut these. And these, with this particular folder, these do not cut well in a trimmer. So a guillotine is the way to go. Otherwise, cut your pieces the size you need them before you emboss. Okay, so for here, we're going to take this, and I need one piece that is 1 inch by 2 7/8, and I'm going to double check to make sure this is my 1 inch, and it is. So I need one that is 2 7/8 inches. Okay, and then I need one that is, okay, so I've got those. And then for my 7/8 by 3 3/4, actually I need 2 of these that are 7/8 by 3 3/4. Let me double check that measurement. Yes, 3 3/4. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this second piece at 3 3/4. And then from the 2 pieces that are left over, I need a piece that is 7/8 by 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here. And that should be the right length. Yep. Okay. And then I'm going to cut 1 inch off of that other piece. So with a 6-inch by 2 3/4 inch piece of cardstock, you can get all your pieces that you need for this. So let's go ahead and be careful because I pre-put my stuff on there when I shouldn't have. So I'm going to take these 1 inch by 7/8 inch pieces, and they're going to go right here. This is the front and back of the box, or the, I guess, yeah, I don't know how you'd call that, because I guess it's the, yeah, this, the ends. It's the 2 ends. Let's say that. Okay, so we've got this. This is the bottom of the box. So we don't need anything here. We need to put these 2 7/8 inch by 3/4 inch pieces on the sides of the box. And I'm just using some Tombow liquid glue because this is embossed. So we'll put that on. Just a little bit of liquid glue here. We'll put this on. And then the last 2 pieces are for these top pieces. This is the top outside and the top inner flap. This is what I call my double fold flap box. Just going to put that there. And that there. Okay. Now remember, I already put my adhesive on these little tabs here, which I should have waited until now. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to fold these in toward the bottom of the box. Cut side to the fold line. I'm going to do that with all 4 tabs. Now you could use liquid glue here, that would be fine. I prefer tear and tape, and I don't have to hold it for the video if I use tear and tape. Okay, so now I'm going to fold these back. And burnish those down. That is the key to getting your adhesives to stick and stay stuck. Burnish them well. Okay, so now we've pretty much made our box. This side folds in. This side folds in over that. Okay, and there basically is our box. Now, what fits in this box? Well, that was a good, you know, I tried hard to find some things that would fit, and pretty much what fits is Hershey's Kisses. Fun-size candy bars are a little too wide. I'm sure you could put the little Werther's caramels in here, Jolly Ranchers, the little Zots candies, those kinds of things. Andy's Mints are narrow enough you could get those in there. Hershey's Nuggets fit, but you can only get 2 in. And then you have this whole section that doesn't fit. They don't fit this way, so you have to put them end to end. So, okay, so we've got those. Now let's go ahead and decorate. All right. So let's see. We are going to get some supplies here. Here is the template for this box. And let's go ahead and get our pieces. There isn't much left to do here. Okay. So we need from the tags to go dies, we need this tag here, and I've pre-cut that in basic white. Okay. And then we need to cut this one in regular Darling Duckling cardstock. Okay, so we're going to use this one. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to use some of the washi tape. Okay, I'm going to show you how to roll this out and how you can cut it. And so let's get, I've already rolled one of the patterns out so you can see it. I wanted you to be able to see both patterns because you get two patterns on this roll. So I like to take a bread clip just so I don't have to hunt for those ends. And then I'm going to pull this out a little. And this sheet of cardstock is 5.5 inches. I recommend a piece of cardstock that is 3.5 by 5.5. That gives you a little bit of wiggle room. This is actually about 3.25. But in case you don't get it straight, then you can make it still work. Okay, so I'm just going to take and lay this down along the bottom here. This is not straight. I can tell it's going to roll crooked right now. Okay, let's see if I can get this lined up here. Kind of with that one. There we go. Okay, then I'm just going to take and lift that and roll. Take my bone folder. Oh, you're going to be picky tonight, aren't you? Okay. Did not have this trouble earlier today. Of course not, because now we're on live TV. Oh my goodness, I've never had this much trouble rolling this stuff out. Why is it being picky today? Okay. There we go. Well, I got a little bit. At least washi tape is forgiving. You can lay it down, pick it back up. Okay. I'm just going to take my bone folder, take any little wrinkles. Okay. And you'll notice I left that because here's where the next pattern starts. So I don't want to waste any of my pattern. So I'm just going to take and pick this up a bit. And then I'm going to take my scissors in there and cut that just like that. Then I'll stick my little bread tags on here and fold that up nice and neat. Go ahead and smooth that out. Okay, so this is both patterns that you get on the washi tape. The florals are exactly the same. They're just in two different color palettes. So in order to use these, then you would take one of these. I would cut this here. And with the Extraordinary Flora bundle, which has just come back into stock, you take this single die, okay, and this flower up here matches that flower at the top of your pattern. Just lay this down like this You've got some holes to look for stems to make sure you've got it lined up just so. And once you're happy with it, then take it to your cut and emboss machine and run it through. Now I could run this whole thing through my cut and emboss machine, or if I cut this down, I could run it through my mini. I don't need to cut these right now because I've already done that. But I did want to show you how that worked. And I wanted to show you those two patterns. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my cut pieces. And we're going to take this. And I made myself a little die cutting template, meaning that I stamped my sentiment that I wanted, then I die cut it, and then I saved this piece so that when I want to make multiples, I can just put this back in. Okay, so I've got that, and I need some old olive ink. And I've got the sentiment from Tags to Go. And this one says, life's detours are better with you. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp that down there. And that is good to go. Now let me wipe this off real quick. We're going to use this template on our card as well with a different sentiment. So I need to make sure that that is good. And what did I do with the plastic sheet that goes to here? Clear plastic sheets are always a problem. Okay, come on, get up out of there. Okay, we'll set that aside because we're going to need this part again. I am going to need to find the plastic sheet. What did I do with it? Oh, good grief. It'll show up. Anyway, so we've got this now, and we've got this. Now this, the way I want to use it to make a box opener, is just a little too wide. I mean, I could put it on like that, but I didn't like it. So I'm going to take this and put it into my trimmer. And I'm just going to line up this section here. I'm going to kind of put this little dot right in this section of my trimmer. You could hand trim this, or you can do it this way and slice it, and then you know you've got a nice straight line. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Okay, and then I'm left with this. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to put some glue on the bottom half here. Push that around a bit. And then I'm going to add this. Actually, I could take that glue up just a little bit higher. Notice how I'm putting the hole at the bottom. Now, if you wanted to tie some ribbon on here, you could, but I'm already tying ribbon, so I didn't want two bows. And then I just center that up like that. And that is now ready. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to take the Life's Detours Are Better With You. And I'm going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to use these right here at the bottom. I'm going to use the bones for the middle. And what I'm trying to do is actually center this from here to here, not here to here. So should go just about like that. Then we're going to bring in some strawberry slush, baker's twine here. I'm just going to tie myself a little bow. Now I could have tied this through the hole in the tag and done the whole thing, but you know, it's just so much easier if I do it this way. And it looks better in my opinion, so that's how I'm going to do it. And then I'll take a glue dot off my brand new roll. Take my ribbon to my glue dot, pinch it with my tweezers, and I'm going to put that right there. Okay? And then I'm going to take one of those cut flowers from the Extraordinary Flora. And I'm just going to add this to my tag here. And as long as I give that enough room, it should not impede. See how even though it's going over, it's not impeding my box opening because I stuck it far enough out. Move it just a little bit more. I'm going to shimmy it just a little bit more. Okay, so one last thing for this. And let's put these away because now I still have lots left to make more boxes or whatever, cards. I'm going to bring in the 25 to 27 in color pearls, the flat in color pearls. I'm guessing these will be 15% off beginning next week. What did I do with that? There it is. And I'm going to take one of these, put it up here, take a small one, put it over here, and then I'm going to take a medium one and put it right down there. Okay, and there is our little treat box. I hope you like that. Oh, that didn't take nearly as long as I thought it might. Yay! Okay, now we have plenty of time for a card. You guys, I prepped a lot so that we would have time. So let's, if you're wondering where that strawberry slush baker's twine comes from, it comes from the Pack Your Bags Twine 3-pack, Azure Afternoon, Shy Shamrock, and Strawberry Slush. So that is that. I'm going to admit the Strawberry Slush is the one I've used the most. All right, so there we have that box. I did make a box using, if you didn't have the tags to go and you weren't interested in it, but you have the Nested Essentials dies. This little die right here works pretty good, and it works as the tab. However, I would recommend thick basic white and doubling it up so that it's sturdy enough to make the tab opening. Okay, so there is another version using the Nested Essentials rather than the tags to go. Okay, so moving on to the next project. Let's set all that aside. And I will get out the next bucket. Okay, so for this one, we're going to use the Extraordinary Flora again. And I'm going to take a 3.5 by 5.5 inch piece of basic beige cardstock. And what did I do with the Extraordinary Flora stamp set? Oh, it's in that bucket. Okay. So with this one, I'm going to take the stamp here. Because of course we have a whole bundle, so we might as well use it. And I wanted to show you how to do this. If you don't have a stamp positioning tool, or you don't have a great big stamping block, which I can't hold the great big stamping block that this fits on, I'm just gonna set this face up on my Glass Mat Studio here. And then I'm gonna take my Memento Tuxedo black ink, which I have put into a refill into the craft white ink pad. And then I'm going to take my piece of basic beige and I'm going to set it down on top. And then I'm going to take one of my stamp blocks and I'm going to keep a good hold on that so it doesn't move. And I'm just going to rub my stamp block all around that stamp. Okay. Then I'm going to lift that up. And now I have a perfectly inked piece that I can run through my die cutting machine. Okay. So for this project, the colors that I wanted to use were not necessarily in the washi tape. I wanted to do it myself. So we're coloring. And I'm going to go ahead and put this away. Just a tip on how to use your larger stamps if you don't have a larger block or a stamp positioning tool. In a pinch, your Glass Mat Studio, and if you don't have Glass Mat Studio, maybe you have one of those old Corel things in your kitchen, anything that will stick. Okay? Oh, there, I found it. Yay! Okay. I knew that clear thing would show up eventually. Okay, so my recommendation, if you just want to color a few of these, just color a few, cut them out, and you can always color the rest of them later, or you can use them as is. So here you see, not only does that die work for the washi tape, but it also works for the stamp, okay? So we've got that, and we can run that through the mini machine with no issues. I pre-colored mine, and I used Petunia Pop, Summer Splash, and the Darling Duckling. Now I'm going to show you how I did my leaves with these, okay? Just quickly on this piece. Let me put that die away before I lose it. Okay, so let's take this. And for some of my leaves, what I did was I took my Summer Splash Dark and put a little bit of dark in here. All right. I'm going to add a little bit of the light. And you need to be a little more careful with the basic beige than the basic white or the thick basic white because it does tend to bleed a little more. So be sure to stay away from the outside edges of your image. Okay, so we've got that. And then I'm going to take the Darling Duckling here, and I'm just going to go back and throw in a little bit here and there. Okay. And what you'll see when you do that is that you end up with some green because you've mixed yellow and a bluish aqua color. And so you get kind of a greenish color. Okay. So that's how I did my leaves. And let's go ahead then, got that, and bring in the makings for our card. Okay. So here are our pieces. We have a basic, Laura, what embossing folder did you, oh, I used the Gardens and Glass, Glass and Gardens, that's what it's called. Glass and Gardens. This is part of the celebratory sips suite. So you get this glass embossing folder along with the Gardens embossing folder, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so you've got Glass and Gardens. Oh, thanks, you guys. I'm glad you liked that treat box. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to fold up our basic black card base. This is the standard A2 5.5 by 8.5. I've scored it in the center at 4 1/4. Okay. Then I had my basic beige that I did my stamping with. And then I had a second piece of basic beige. And with that, you're going to cut 6 of the tags from the Tags to Go dies. And again, I used this tag. So you need 6 of those. And then with a scrap of Petunia Pop, you're going to cut 2 of this die so that you get 6 hearts. Because this will cut, it cuts like this, and then it pops out each individual heart. You need, well, you really need 5 hearts, so you have to cut it twice. And then from the metallic, what's it called? Textured metallic specialty paper. I'm using the tungsten color that's in that metallic. And we're cutting this key, this lock, and this key. You need those 3 in the tungsten. Okay. I've already pre-cut those. And let me show you what I did. So I took a piece of Petunia Pop, okay, and I laid this out like so. All right. Some off, some on. Okay. So pre-lay them out how you like them. Kind of like so. Okay. Then before you adhere, remove this one. Okay. Then put your adhesive down. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Okay. Put your adhesive down. so I just use Stampin' Seal. Okay. All right, and then we're going to add this here, just like this. Okay. And then we're going to take and cut these all off. And you can use a trimmer or your scissors, whatever makes you happy. Trim that up. Even with your cardstock. Oh, come on. Okay, so got that. And then we're going to take this and the pressed flowers embossing folder, which is upside down for some reason. So I'm going to turn it upside down because I want this to be the top of my card and this to be the bottom of my card, and I want my pattern to go top to bottom. So I'm going to put the bottom in here, like so. Close that up. Make sure I put my spine through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine first, and I'm going to run that through. Okay? And then I'm going to have this. All right? So we're going to take this little tag here. Now, take this tag. And we're going to take that same oh, that thing blew off again. My fan blew off my paper, my clear sheet I just found. Probably never find it now. So I'm going to put this in here like this. Okay. And this time I'm using the sentiment that says far away but close at heart. And we're going to stamp that in Petunia Pop. Okay. So I'm just going to ink that up. And there's my sentiment piece. Now let's clean that off. I'll find that plastic sheet later. Okay, so now this one we're going to put in here. Okay, just like so. It's going to go in here. But before we do that, let's, no, let's not do that. Let's go ahead and put this on with some Stampin' Dimensionals. Where did I put my big ones? Right here. Right here. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this. We put one here, and one there. And let's see how that works out. Okay, I'm guessing here. I'm going to put that one in there just like so, but a little bit more straight would be good. Okay, so then I'm going to flip this over. that off. Okay. Now, if you find that that this isn't close enough to the edge, you can always stick a little mini glue dot in there or whatever, just to give that support on the side. Right there. Come on. Okay, there we go. So that'll stay nice and flat there for us. But now we're ready to go ahead and add this to our card base. So I'm going to do that with some liquid glue because this is embossed. This is not a 3D embossing folder. So the sandwich for this is your base plate, an acrylic plate, your embossing folder with your cardstock inside, and then another clear acrylic plate on top. Okay, so we're going to put this in here. It's liquid glue, so I've got a minute to move it around. I like to take these once I like how they are. I like to take and flip them over. Gently run my bone folder over that. Okay, so here we are so far. Let's go ahead and bring in those flowers that we colored. Here's what I have from what I had colored. I left them kind of in the pattern they cut out in. And then we're going to take those we're going to take those little hearts that we had. We're going to start with those. And I'm just going to put a dot of glue right here in each of these little tag holes. And then I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool and my little hearts that I cut out. And I'm going to add those over the holes. Okay? So now I'm just going to give those a good press to make sure that sits into that glue. All right. And then we're going to lay out these are our pieces that we cut from the tungsten metallic paper. So I've got those here. I'm going to put this one down here and put that key there. And then I'm going to decide what flowers I want where on here. Okay. So I think I'll use that one. And or maybe I'll use this one. I'll use that one there. And then I'll take this one and put it here. I'll snip off what doesn't work there. And then, or maybe we'll put this one up here. Let's do that. Let's put that one up there. Take one of these, put it down here, and then take one of these leaves. That one's a little large. And let's take this one. Maybe we'll go this way and that way. Okay. Okay. So now we can set these aside. We can use those for another project. We still have lots to go. But let's go ahead and attach these. So again, I'm just going to take some liquid glue. Got a glue booger on the top of that. It's very important that you're careful with the glue with the metallics because they're not very forgiving. Okay. I need to get that off of there. There we go. And I'm just going to put just a touch of glue there. Put this like this. Hold that just for a second. Okay. Apparently it wants a little bit more glue than I gave it. I was trying to be conservative. Okay, so let's do that. And then a bit of liquid glue for that. Put that kind of like that. And then I'm going to take a glue dot and put it on the back of this. And then I'm going to add that flour. Make that one. And then we'll glue that down. It's easier. Okay. Okay, so we're almost done here. So what is left? We need a linen thread bow. So I've got a linen thread bow here that I've already pre-tied. I'm going to put that on a glue dot. Tracy, I did try the Petunia Pop iridescent ribbon on here, and I just didn't like the way the whole thing came together, so I didn't use it again. Okay, now I'm going to take this piece of linen thread, and I'm going to get roughly the middle, and I'm going to stick that into the glue dot on the back of my bow. Okay, and then I'm going to take this whole thing and put it on another glue dot, squish that together, and press that in there. Then I'm going to take this tiny little key and I'm going to thread this through the back of my key onto that piece of linen thread. The Petunia Pop iridescent ribbon would have looked fine, except for me adding the key didn't with the linen thread. I just didn't like it as much as doing it this way. So I'm just going to tie that on like so. Okay. I'm going to snip those off. All right, there is the front of our card. Okay. The sticky pad that I'm using in the Misty is a Misty sticky mat. Let's see if I can, they have, let's see, I've got Do I have another one in here? Comes in a package, and you get 2 in the package. They have them for the large Misty and for the small Misty. So I have large Misties and small Misty pads. And of course, they work in your Stamparatus as well. You just stick it up there in the corner. Okay, so let's finish this card off. And to do that, for the inside, I took a piece of the Petunia Pop cardstock and I ran this through that same embossing folder. This is a 1/2 inch by 3 3/4. This piece of basic beige is 3 3/4 by 5. And then I took a sentiment, thinking of you brings a smile to my face. And that came from Pattern of Friendship. Okay, this is one of those online exclusives that comes in handy. Okay, so then I'm just going to take and add this to the inside of my card here. For my envelope, I have very vanilla envelopes left, so I'm using them up. And I use the glass embossing folder on the envelope top because you cannot emboss just a envelope top in this embossing folder because of the way they did the pattern. I'm not sure why they put it in upside down. It makes it so it's not very useful, other than, you know, just up and down. That's about all you can do. And if you're not embossing a whole piece, it doesn't really work very well. So, all right, so we've got that. And here is our box that we made. I hope you liked that tutorial tonight, and I hope you'll give these projects a try. So, thanks so much for joining me. Thursday, I should be live on YouTube this week. Abby has dance, however, they're going camping, so she won't be dancing. So I should be here this Thursday at 7 on YouTube, but the next 2 weeks after that, I won't be doing the Thursdays because I'll be at dance during the live time. All right, everybody. Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so glad you guys joined me. Thanks so much for giving me a thumbs up. If you like the video, be sure to share it with all your crafty friends, and I will see you again soon. Thanks so much. Good night.